Hi my YouTube people, welcome to today's newest episode, video, class, whatever you want to call it. Technically it's all of the above, but in today's video we will be doing a quick class, a quick learning little exercise I guess, on astrology and how to read an astrology chart, natal chart, birth chart, whatever you want to call it, it all means the same thing. I do a lot of these different, types of classes and videos on my Patreon specifically, so if you're a Patreon member, I'll pop up with these random, classes on spirituality or spiritual concepts or astrology, zodiac signs, tarot, in some way or another, because there's just so much to learn. And one of the things that people struggle with a lot is astrology. And I thought this would be a good time to do a quick little video on how to read a natal chart. It's very easy. How we'll be doing it, to make it even more simple and easy, is we'll be doing it based on your zodiac sign, which is your sun sign. So I always say whenever people ask you, what's your zodiac sign, they're typically asking you what's your sun sign, meaning what month were you born in, because that correlates with your sun sign. But there's so much more. You also have a moon sign, a rising sign, a Saturn placement, a Jupiter placement, a Venus placement, and so on and so forth. You have a 7th house, a 12th house, and you have a lot going on. So how I'm going to do this video or this class is I'm going to focus on learning astrology, teaching you astrology, how to read an astrology natal chart, but based on your zodiac sign. So I'm going to teach you specifically based on your zodiac sign. I'm going to teach you about your houses, or your house that you're ruled by, and also your ruling planet, if you don't know that already. Alright, so grab a snack, grab a notebook. This is a class, so I always recommend my students, whether we're on Patreon or in a one-on-one class session, to take notes, because it's always a lot of information, especially if you've gotten a tarot class with me. Y'all know that class is a lot of information. Speaking of classes, if you would be interested in taking a class with me or getting a reading, thank you to those who have purchased readings today. One of you did get a birth chart reading, and I think a couple of you have also gotten a few readings as well. I think I have a phone reading to do in the afternoon. I'm enjoying my afternoon tea right now, or my evening tea, darling. I hope you have some tea, coffee, or whatever you're into. I also have my coffee here too. And let's get into it. Like I was saying, if you would be interested in a class or a reading from me, check out my website, LamarrTownsendTarot.com. This is my website, designed and created by me. So if you'd be interested in getting a reading from me or getting classes from me, and you reach this page, you're on the right page. Scroll down, and this is the best place to keep up with me is via my website. But also check out my Twitch channel where I do monthly horoscope readings. Of course, my YouTube. Subscribe, like, share, follow. Become a member of my YouTube. Also become a member of my Patreon. Completely different content than my YouTube membership. Also, check out my Spotify, my podcast on Apple, Google, Anchor, and more. Also, you can scroll down and view all of the reviews from people who have verified purchased readings from me. And then also you can scroll down, of course, and check out my social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, where I post regularly as well. However, if you would want a reading from me or a class, you would go directly to the store section of my website. This is where you can view all the rates, services, and products that I do offer. As you can see, I do birth chart readings. I do both compatibility birth chart readings if you want to compare your natal chart to someone else's, but I also do individual birth chart readings. I do mediumship readings if you want to connect to your ancestors and spirit guides. I do past life readings if you want to learn about your past lives. I, of course, also do psychic tarot readings, email readings, phone readings, video recorded psychic tarot readings, candles. I also currently do have astrology class sessions. Alright, so if you want to learn astrology more in depth, you want to learn about, all the planets and all the, how everything works together, the zodiac signs, and, things of that nature, definitely would get an astrology class. But I also do tarot classes as well, which you can find on page 2. Alright, I definitely would recommend taking both classes, because the way I read astrology, if you've ever gotten a class from me, or the way I read tarot is via, it's connected to astrology. So I would recommend taking both classes if you can. But yeah, a lot going on. Also, I do sell jewelry. I make jewelry. I sew things. So I sew satin washcloths, which is really good for dry skin or sensitive skin, which I suffer from. And I also sell African black soap, which is the only soap I use on my skin. You guys are always saying how I have such beautiful skin, And I really keep my skincare simple, but you know, one thing I am serious about, every now and then I'll change up moisturizers, but I don't change up my black soap because I have eczema and it's the only soap I find that works for my eczema. Alright, so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the astrology natal chart class session. And I have my little piece of paper. We're going to do a little drawing demonstration. Now, I am very creative, but unfortunately, drawing is not my forte. All right, so I took a drawing class in college, and the professor was like, you know, a drawer you are not. All right, so kind of killed my confidence a bit in drawing. I think I'm working on my execution, I guess we could say. But one thing I am very gifted at and an expert at is astrology. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our astrology class on how to read an astrology natal chart wheel or birth chart wheel according to your zodiac sign. Okay, so let's get started. I have this blank basic white paper, computer paper, that clearly is maybe been out too long or got wet, but either way it works. It's what we got. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw a big circle that will represent a common natal chart wheel that you will see when you look at, you know, a natal chart, or when you look up your own natal chart. All right, it's in a circle because, you know, this is what is commonly believed. Some people think the earth is flat, but you know, on this channel we believe that, you know, it is rounded, oval, all right, cylindrical, whatever you want to say, and therefore this is how we also on a flat surface judge the planets. That's why it's called a natal chart wheel. Things in this life kind of, you know, always are circular. Things always come back around, it seems like. However, this natal chart wheel is separated into houses. Alright? And the houses correspond with a ruling planet and a zodiac sign. However, because we live on a world where things are constantly changing on a 24-hour basis, alright, the planets also move around the natal chart wheel based on these houses, alright? And this is basically the summation of a natal chart. This is basically like a snapshot, alright, of the planets and the sky at any given time. In the case of your own personal natal chart, it would be a snapshot of the planets in the sky on the month, day, year that you were born, as well as the time and place that you were born, if you have that information as well. When drawing a natal chart wheel, of course, it does have that, you know, typical T shape in the middle, like a compass would, separated into 4 sections. Once again, I'm not the best drawer, so keep that in mind. But it's also, we've separated it into 4 sections. I'm sorry, I think at some point, I think I clicked the wrong button, sorry. We've separated it now into four sections. Alright. This natal chart wheel. Keeping in mind, once again, a natal chart wheel is basically a snapshot of the planets in the sky at any given time. There's 12 zodiac signs, 12 planets that we focus on and study mainly in astrology, although many more. So then, therefore, there's 12 houses. Alright. So when drawing a natal chart wheel, of course, you want to put the T, the regular T, separated into 4 sections, much like a compass. But, you know, of course, 12 breaks down to 4, right? So mathematically, it makes sense. So then we draw lines, all right, to now separate it into 6 sections. But we need to draw 2 more lines in order to separate it into 12 in total. So then we would do another here, and then another here. And this is a natal chart wheel. Is it perfect? No, but it's a natal chart wheel separated into 12 sections. Now, how actually do we figure out which one is 1, which one is 2? One thing to remember when reading a natal chart is that we read counterclockwise. So, of course, the clock, tick, tock, do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. You guys remember that from the Big Comfy Couch? When actuality, you know, looking at it from this perspective, a clock usually, you know, at least in America, goes this way, depending on which way you're looking at it, right? But typically it goes this way. But really, we want to read the natal chart starting right here at the line. All right, that first line that we drew horizontally. And then wherever the line starts here, the house underneath it is the first house. All right. So this is house number 1. Alright. Maybe I should make it bigger. Here I go, already messing up. Alright, this is house number 1. Dang it. Alright, you get the point. House number 1. Or we could just write it here. House 1. Alright. This is the house of Aries. Alright. The first house in astrology is ruled by Aries. So if you are an Aries, you're ruled by the first house, right under this kind of, I guess we could call it like the equator line. Alright. This is the first house. And from here we go to the second, third, fourth, fifth. But Aries, you're the first house. Now, what many people may not know is that the first house in astrology is actually the rising sign. So by nature, Aries rules the rising sign. What does the rising sign mean? AKA the first house. Sometimes it'll be called the ascendant. What does all of this mean? Well, your rising sign in astrology, the first house, is ruled by Mars, the planet Mars as well. And this is the house of your physical appearance. This is the house of the first impressions that you make. It's also the house of how you go about getting what you want. It does tend to correlate with masculine energy, the first house, Aries. It is also the house of what you project out into the world, who you project out into the world. It coincides very strongly with your sun sign. Alright? So with Aries, there's a lot of focus on self. Alright? Which by nature is kind of the essence of an Aries. Very focused on self. Really good at making first impressions. You know, you're the start of the Zodiac. You're the start of the natal chart as being the first house. So there is an importance, you know, often in Aries will come with an air of importance or austere, right? This is Aries energy, ruled by the first house. Let's put some stars and make it like a pretty picture. Oh my god. I see why my professor said I wasn't the best drawer. It's okay. There's always room for improvement. People can't be perfect at everything, right? So that's the first house. The second house is you, Taurus. You are the second house. The second house is money, personal finances, ruled by Venus. Alright? The second house is also the house of your personal belongings, your management of these things. This would be your home, your car. Alright? What's important to you in terms of things. Also people. This could be people that you provide for. This is the second house energy. Your relationship with these things. Your relationship with making money. Alright? Also your relationship with spending money. These are, you know, this is the essence, you know, of a Taurus. Money can be very important to a Taurus. They're an earth sign. Right? Money, and having enough in the bank, but also being able to provide for oneself is important to a Taurus. Alright? But also it is a relationship, you know, we have with money. The things that we buy and that we own. Our home, our car. But, you know, all these relationships that we have, you know, all come back to self. What's your relationship with self? Someone could have a lot of money but have a bad relationship with themselves and therefore may struggle with managing that money, right? All of this energy is the second house. The third house, because remember we're going counterclockwise, would be right after Taurus. The third house is Gemini. Gemini, you are the third house. Alright? This is the house of communication, intellect, the mind. It is also our young childhood to young adult years. The third house is the house of imagination. Your ability to use your voice. How do you communicate? How do you formulate ideas? How do you process information? Gemini can be very quick, adaptable energy. You know, what's your ability to be adaptable, to be thrown in a situation and be able to be quick on your toes and come up with solutions. Alright? What things did you learn in your formative years in terms of growing up? Because a lot of those things we take with us, the experiences and things that we learn, you know, from young childhood to, you know, college years, that's an important time in our lives. That many of us, we, you know, well into our 30s, 40s, 50s, there's certain aspects of that time in our lives we still struggle with. And this is the third house and the essence of a Gemini. Alright? Geminis are very communicative, very quick on their toes, can be very feisty in that nature, but very adaptable at the same time. Very good with communication. Communication is very important to those with strong Gemini energy or third house energy. Alright? The fourth house is Cancer. Cancer, you're the fourth house. Alright? And Cancer, the fourth house, is ruled by the moon. This is your emotions, your emotional instincts, what you need to feel emotionally secure and safe in the world. It is also Cancer, you know, the energy of family, home, motherhood, specifically the mother and the mother side of the family. These are all Cancer energies, fourth house energies. This is the essence of a Cancer. Now, even though Cancer, you know, does rule motherhood, it would just be mainly the qualities of motherhood. What are some qualities that we associate with motherhood? Nurturing, patience, feminine intuition. You know, being tuned in, not into your own intuition, but being able to tune into other people. This is Cancer energy, fourth house energy, and the essence of Cancer, male or female. So when it comes to astrology, gender doesn't matter, but gender does show up, as you may notice. Masculine and feminine energies, alright? Because remember, it's all energy. This whole planet that we're on is energy, a ball of literally energy to be utilized for the good or the bad. That's why it's important to know your natal chart. Alright, 5. We've got Leo, the sun. Alright. 5 is Leo. And the fifth house in astrology is ruled by the sun, as we just said. The fifth house is the house of your creativity, your style, your self-confidence, your energy and vitality for life. Also does rule your childhood memories. Also rules romance and romantic energy. It rules your sense of fun, laughter, and what makes you passionate, what excites you. These are the essences of Leo. Alright? Very vibrant energy. Boisterous, usually. Attentiveness is important to a Leo, someone with strong Leo energy or 5th house energy. After the 6th house, or after the 5th house, I mean, we have the 6th house, which is Virgo, right after Leo. Virgo is the 6th house, and the 6th house is the house of your work, job, career, your approach to your health, your approach to your sense of self-improvement. The 6th house is ruled by Mercury, so Virgo, you are ruled by Mercury, as well as being ruled by the 6th house. Okay. And the 6th house is one's daily routine. What is your daily routine? Do you have a daily routine, or, you know, are you one of those people that just wakes up and it's like, oh, what's on the list for today? What do I need to do again? I forgot. You know, maybe there's a need for some organization, which is also the 6th house, organization. All right, in your daily routine. Virgo can be very consistent, regimented types of people, which can make them a bit boring. I have Virgo rising, so I totally understand, but it keeps them on track. That's the most important thing. So in terms of a natal chart, this would be the house of how do you do these things, how do you approach these things in your life. Moving on to the 7th house, we've got Libra. Libra, you are the 7th house. Number 7, very spiritual number in numerology. The 7th house is ruled by Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus. The 7th house is about one-on-one relationships, business partnerships, harmony, how you seek out harmony and peace in your life, who you seek out harmony or peace with, or are you more attracted to drama or something like that? You would have to look at your 7th house, the house of Libra, the house of love, the house of marriage as well. 7th house is marriage, which makes sense as to why a lot of Libra people, or people with strong Libra energy, can be very romance focused, marriage focused, because so they're all about relationships. That's the 7th house. All right. Number 8. This drawing actually wasn't that bad, you guys. I think I may keep this for further further classes. I get 8 Scorpio. All right. Number 8. This is Scorpio, the 8th house. Pluto. So if you're a Scorpio, you're ruled by the 8th house, and you're also ruled by the planet Pluto. Now that looks like a mushroom. Interesting. From Mario. Alright. And Pluto is the 8th house. This is the house of evolution, change, death. Alright, it can mean literal death. It can also mean, you know, existential death. You know, old parts of ourselves dying off so that new things can be born again. Alright? It's kind of basically the cycle of life. It does rule 8th house life cycles. Change and transformation and evolution in your life. Endings that you also, you know, participate in having an end, you know, having an end. Alright? Scorpios aren't afraid of endings or change or transformation usually, because it brings new beginnings. They understand that cycle. Can it be hard? Can it be difficult? Yes, but it's about how do you deal with these energies, these things. That's why they say Scorpio can be very destructive. They're just not afraid of change. They're not afraid of, you know, shaking the cage, rattling, you know, stuff up to bring change. Sometimes you got to do that. All right, that's the 8th house. In the essence of Scorpio. Next, we have the 9th house, which is ruled by none other than Sagittarius. Number 9. Lucky number, lucky planet, lucky zodiac sign, lucky house. The 9th house, aka Sagittarius, is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of luck. So the 9th house is your sense of luck. You know, the 9th house is also taking risks. How you take risks or chances in your life. How you approach new things, new opportunities, new experiences, or are you a bit more closed off, closed-minded? Sagittarius by nature, Jupiter by nature is very open, generous, honest, open-minded. You know, open to different races, cultures, creeds, and learning about, you know, these different walks of life. Alright? Ways of being. not following the rules necessarily, going on your own journey. Alright, that's the 9th house. Moving on to the 10th house. The 10th house is Capricorn. My Capricorns are the 10th house. And with you being the 10th house Capricorn, the 10th house is ruled by Saturn. So Capricorn, you're ruled by Saturn as well as the 10th house. This is the house of career, professional destiny, status, and society. It also rules fatherhood, father energy. Alright? That's why often in some way, shape, or form, the father plays some sort of integral role in a Capricorn's life. Whether they were active in that Capricorn's life or not. Alright? This is why Capricorns, no matter their gender or essence, kind of give off a, like Cancer would give off a mother energy. Capricorn gives off a father energy. Very no nonsense, a little bit of a disciplinarian. You know, takes no BS, but gives it to you straight. Gives you, you know, really good advice, sound advice. Most likely because they've been through it too or have had to go through it. But they also wear it well. That's the essence of Capricorn. How do you deal with these things? Capricorn, the 10th house is also your long-term health. Alright? As well as the past, karma, debt, weight, and illness. Alright? So no wonder Capricorns can be such pessimists, right? Interesting. And I'm a Capricorn. So that's no shade, Capricorns. Alright, number 11, we've got Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is interesting because Aquarius is ruled by 2 planets. It is ruled by both Uranus and Saturn. But the 11th house in Aquarius is strictly, or, you know, usually is mainly ruled by Saturn, or I'm sorry, Uranus. So the 11th house is ruled by Uranus. Aquarius, you're ruled by the 11th house in Uranus. This is the house of friends, acquaintances, social groups, humanitarianism. It's also the house of unexpected change, technology, social media, the internet. It's also the house of planetary events, astrology. Alright? It's a very social house, social planet, but can be very into themselves as well. Very inventive, very creative. You know, minds are always moving, things are always going on, especially when you've got a lot of people around you. This is the essence of Aquarius. They like to be in the hustle and bustle. But they also have that ability to shut off and do their own thing. Last house, which would make 12, once again, is Pisces. Alright? Pisces is the 12th and last house, and then we go back to the first house, which is Aries. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, alright? The 12th house is ruled by Neptune, so this is the house of spirituality. One's connection to the spiritual realm, which would make Pisces very spiritual by nature, daydreamers, but also can naturally be a bit ungrounded. So, you know, this is also the house of groundedness, spiritual groundedness, the need for such, the need for solitude, privacy, secrets in one's life, how one is behind closed doors. This is all 12th house energy. Alright? It's also creativity. Hidden talents, hidden strengths, hidden weaknesses. So this is the house of maybe what are you not fully tapped into that you have the ability to achieve. This is the essence of Pisces. And this is the basics of how to read an astrology chart. Alright? Now there's so much more in depth. You know, these houses, these planets all have a ruling body part. You know, they all have a ruling months, you know, which play a part. And so much more, alright? But all of those things would actually, you know, be discussed in an astrology class. So if you want an astrology class, get a one-on-one class session from me. But this is the basics of how to read an astrology chart. So I hope you learned something. I hope this was an enjoyable video for you and not too confusing. Thank you for listening and watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and follow me on all my social media platforms. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, Vimeo, Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, my podcast. wherever you would like to listen, I am here to speak and say something, alright? Remember, if you want an astrology reading from me, I am available for readings on my website. If you want an astrology class, or if you want other types of readings, I'm available. So check out my website, LamarrTownsendTarot.com. Speaking of available, I've got a few clients I need to get to now, and some food I need to start cooking because I'm hungry. Alright, you guys, I'll see you in the next video. Love and light. God bless. And class is now over.